The hottest pop culture stories of the day. This is Hot to Go. I'm Brittany.
I'm Kendall.
And I'm Mike.
And we are easily manipulated. As we know, there's been a lot of talk during the Baldoni-Blake Lively lawsuit around who's controlling what PR that's getting out there. A big part of what Blake Lively is saying is there was a point where she has seen communication with Justin Baldoni and his team saying we should take her down, use all the mechanisms you have, use your social media, get some people in there, doing fake tweets, get in the comments section. Well, a data expert has looked into this and can say only this on Twitter, because that's the only thing they've researched it, says that most pro-Baldoni tweets are inorganic. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean like your crunchy granola mom can't eat it? No, it means that it's not organically coming from just like Joe Schmo down the street. These are all things that somebody paid to put out there. They say that it looks like after going through all of the tweets that have to do with this, they're saying estimates that it's actually more than 80%. Giving us an example of another bought and paid for pile-on by Baldoni's team.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. And we can't stress enough. When we say all this, we're just giving you the facts. We're not saying that means like Baldoni's not in the right. I know people feel strongly. They're like, well, I'm still, okay, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But you do have to acknowledge, like, this is where we have to kind of take a step back. And I think we try to do this in our everyday life. Like, what's the source from this story? We always ask ourselves, like, is this from people? Okay, we're being fed this. Is this from Radar Online? Oh, it's a crackhead monkey that's been trained to write headlines in the basement of some deranged home.
With quotes.
And that's the person who likes Radar Online who says that.
I didn't say it badly. I said it was near and dear to my heart.
With passion.
It really just kind of, I'm not trying to say like this means that Baldoni's in the wrong or Blake's in the wrong. I just think it really makes you think, how was my opinion formed? And how, in general, there's just so many ways to manipulate the public. There's so many things you can buy. You can buy comment sections. You can absolutely spam like a post. Like, you know what, Blake, you can have them do anything. You can pay a room full of people to just keep making fake accounts, just attacking somebody. And we are at a point, technology is at a point where it isn't controllable. The power that it wields, it is not equal with what can control it and monitor it. The checks and balances are not there.
This is wild because in the original filing by Blake Lively in the original lawsuit accusing Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios of sexual harassment and just making things an unsafe workspace, basically, is she names Jed Wallace in this lawsuit.
Yeah.
And Jed Wallace, this guy in Texas, that is what his team does. They literally send people, according to her and her people, is that they have people placed around the country that will do this. They damage people on a social media level that looks very organic by, as you said, comments, Reddit threads, retweets, posts, etc. And then Justin Baldoni's team and Wayfarer Studios were like, what are you talking about? Of course we got a hold of this guy, but that doesn't mean that we used him to make you out to be a bad person. I mean, they defended their interactions with him. Jed Wallace himself has actually sued Blake Lively because he thinks she's besmirched his name so much. Fast forward to now.
Right.
And we're like,
And you talked about how we can be manipulated. I'm so glad we are leading with this story because what we talked about at the end of the show yesterday is the exact response to this story. This leaks, and then what do we hear? This outlandish, crazy, insane story where the lawyer for Justin Baldoni is saying, Blake Lively, if you're going to testify, you should do it in Madison Square Garden, live stream the whole thing. When you Google Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively lawsuit, every article that pops up is talking about that crazy claim that he made, not about what we're talking about right now. So again, you want to talk about manipulation and how to control the narrative? That's exactly what we saw in this case from his lawyer.
Because when that came out, before we'd really thought much of the statistics Brittany just brought to us, we all went, he needs to be disbarred. What are you talking about? This is wild. You're talking about a woman who is claiming sexual harassment and you want her testimony, which is going to be very damaging emotionally. And it could also be financially damaging because it would hurt her career. and you want it aired like it's a WWE fight?
Yeah,
like,
it's giving tables, chairs, and ladders in a way that I am uncomfortable with. Like the way that they're like, 2 people will enter the ring. One, like, no.
Right? Well, and so, yeah, to your point, now we know why. Because it's so insane. We're like, well, we got to talk about it.
And, okay, to just throw it out there, maybe Baldoni had this idea that I'm going up against royalty. I'm going against celebrity. I'm going up against, I am David. They are Goliath. And like, they are beloved by the people, us being the people. Like, it is true. I mean, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, there's not a room that they can't enter. There's not a group. There's not a dinner they can't go to.
Right.
So maybe he had this idea of like grassroots, fighting back. I don't know. It's definitely, it gives me the ick. I also think I'm really glad us three and most of my talk listeners, we're savvy searchers. We like to know where our sources are from. We also take everything with a grain of salt. Somebody says there's like things are going well. We go, are they? We're always kind of like poking holes in things and kind of feeling it out. And I think nowadays, like that's the main thing is like you have to ask yourself, how did I get this information? How did I come to this conclusion? And be willing to go, oh, maybe I was manipulated a little bit.
Absolutely.
Unless it's pro Taylor Swift, then that's just my real, actual feelings. And she's an angel.
She'll die on that hill.
Thank you.
I wanted to point out that if you're watching this on YouTube or even if you're just listening over the airwaves right now or on our podcast, we did a full week of breakdowns of this Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively lawsuit from the very beginning of filming. It ends with us. What happened during filming, what happened during the press release last summer, and like all of the chaos that happened around the red carpet events, to finally the actual lawsuit that came out on December 31st. We read the actual legal paperwork and broke it down for you. It's not just our opinions. It's here's what happened, here's what happened, here's what happened, leads all the way into about the end of March.
What's cool too, and like this is where people get kind of hung up on, if you go back and watch, it was, I think it's, what did we call it? It was
Blake Lively v. Justin Baldoni.
Yes, and like you said, 5 parts.
Yep.
We presented it in the way that we were given at the time.
Yeah.
So it's super fun to kind of go back and look at that. And not much has changed since that. So that 5 will give you a complete view of the lawsuits.
Wow. Well, thanks for that info.
Yeah.
Something else that is giving us so much tea right now is not Blake and Justin, but how about Bill and Jordan? We are moving on to, of course, Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest football coach of all time, and his 24-year-old girlfriend, Jordan Hudson. Now, where we left this off most recently, we were just, I think we last talked about the CBS interview, right?
Yeah, and also when she bought a bunch of real estate.
Yes, that's right. The real estate side of things as well.
$8 million in investment portfolio she suddenly has.
Don't worry about that, doll.
Well, so earlier today, it was actually yesterday, a podcast came out from Pablo Torre. Now, Pablo Torre works for ESPN. He is a investigative journalist when it comes to ESPN, Harvard grad. Well thought of as well as it comes to journalism.
Very respected.
Very respected. He dug into this and he was blown away with some of his finds about this entire story. He even went on to say that there was a meeting with higher ups in the University of North Carolina, meetings where they decided that Jordan Hudson could no longer be around the facilities.
That Bill Belichick's publicist and girlfriend was no longer allowed to be around the facilities where he is the coach.
Dang.
So that was the initial report. UNC has now come back and made a statement, and Pablo Torre has now responded and said, I stand by exactly what I said. I talked to these individuals who are high-ranking officials around the University of North Carolina. He even sat down after they apparently gave there was a TMZ story from UNC saying, no, this isn't happening. Everything you said is false. He then joined Dan Patrick earlier today and did an interview. I'm going to play a little bit of that interview where this is referencing that conversation the higher ups had to sit around and have, and this is what the UNC higher ups decided after this meeting.
Jordan Hudson cannot be the face of our program anymore. She cannot be on the field. She cannot be around the building. She has taken too much when it comes to the airspace around how people think of the coach, the greatest coach in football history, arguably, who, when they hired him to be the highest paid coach in the history, well, forget about any present day North Carolina stats, just the highest paid public employee in the state of North Carolina right now. It was the opposite, right? They had no idea this was coming. Everybody is now actively worried, including, I can also report, members of Bill Belichick's own family, that a thing that takes decades to build, reputation premised on leadership and discretion and privacy and discipline and every other term that now feels like it's the opposite of what his reputation is now in this news cycle. They feel like that's being destroyed. And it's because he gave the power to run his new media empire, now that he has been freed from the NFL for the first time in decades. He gave that to a woman whose age has actually been misreported a lot, I also learned, but we can now say is actually today 24 years old.
So there you go.
This story gives me life.
This guy is not messing around.
It's so good.
And you know, Mike, we've talked about this too. Like, there's been a pivot from the college that we could almost feel.
Yeah.
At first, there was a no, she's not allowed on anything. We started getting intel that she'd been CC'd on emails, and there was a pushback. And then I think, this is what I think, Grandpa Papa Belichick went in there and said, oh, hell no. And we're going to have to go with this. And then the college acts like, it's actually great for us. We love this. Because at some point they even said, the optics in this look great. Why wouldn't, we want him to have this younger? There was like a whole conversation like not too long ago that pivoted.
Definitely. Yeah. Pivoted in a completely different way. Now, he goes on to talk about the fact that he was asked, okay, well, what was Bill Belichick's reaction to all this? And Pablo kind of went into the details of like his entire career. And this, he alluded to the fact that now that he's out of the NFL, he's not as insulated. When you're in the NFL, you are very insulated from the media. You have to talk to them for this amount of time, every single day, this amount. And he said he was surrounded by a group of yes men who insulated him from all of that media. So if something went viral like this, traditionally, he would never be involved. And right now, to kind of your point, they asked about his reaction, and he said, I don't even know if we can really judge his reaction because every email, every text, anything he has sent out is currently going through Jordan Hudson. So you're not getting Bill Belichick's reaction. You're getting Jordan Hudson's reaction to it.
Jordan Hudson's reaction to Jordan Hudson news.
Exactly.
That doesn't look good.
Not only he probably doesn't want to be involved.
He doesn't, because he is a creature of habit. He is a football guy. And stop. Like, there's stories about him being these legendary stories where, if you want to call him that, where this guy like just sleeps in his office. He'll never leave the facility. He doesn't care about anything other than football. He just grinds film constantly. Well, there was also more about that CBS interview. We did talk about the 30 minutes of her interrupting. They said that was supposed to be a puff piece that was just, going to be talking about this new book.
Which I think is in partnership with the company that CBS owns.
Yes.
They work together. So like they co-promote basically.
Yeah.
So he did do a recent interview in New York for the book. And for the first time, Pablo says in a very long time, Jordan Hudson was not a part of that. So that is at least one change that we are seeing here. She was not present at his recent book speech that he was doing there, talking about his memoir. Now, here's the craziest part of this. There was a commercial shoot that Pablo went on to talk about. A commercial shoot that was apparently for 5 or 7 figures. It was a huge deal. This was not the Dunkin' Donuts one.
Okay.
Because I don't know if we brought this up on the show. She was in the Dunkin' Donuts commercial with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
She was?
She was in the background as one of the dancing.
Do you remember? Yeah.
I don't remember this at all.
She actually
Jordan
had
Hudson was in it?
a line. I think she had a line where she said something or was right next to him. Yeah.
Okay.
To this day, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon talk about that as like, I can't believe she did that. Like, I can't believe she found a way. She negotiated this photo shoot for Bill Belichick, but she also maneuvered and made sure she got involved in it.
Which wasn't, honestly, Dunkin' Donuts, you're welcome. Because I only remember that commercial pretty much because going, wait, that's Jordan Hudson, like in that. So like, it wasn't a bad idea for Dunkin' Donuts. It's not like they're a brand that's like the Catholic Church. You know what I mean? We're talking about Dunkin' Donuts, and they've had thrown a bunch of celebs there.
She's a Bostonian.
And there was another commercial prior to this where Bill Belichick was supposed to be in this commercial for 7 figures, like a huge deal. They get there on set, are shooting what wants to be shot. And then she says, wait, hold on, guys. I think we have this really good idea where I can be involved with this if I do this, and hold on a second. I'll be right back. And she left.
What?
She comes back after they had wrapped shooting. Everything they planned and had scripted, they wrapped shooting. She comes back in this like teeny, very small pink, or not pink, it was yellow polka dot bikini. And she decides, okay, this is what we're going to do for this scene. And the guys look at each other and they're all looking around like, this isn't a part of the deal. We don't want
like
this.
Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
This was a different. This was a completely different
God,
deal.
all of a sudden I'm like, she's saying this to them.
Completely,
okay, thank you for clarifying.
This was a commercial for what was some sort of podcast that he was promoting. She comes back and says, "No, I'm going to be a part of this." The camera wasn't even running, but they went through the motion and said, "Yeah, we'll do this," just so she and him would leave, because Bill never stepped in and said, "No, actually, we wrapped this up. We finished." Bill didn't say a word. He just sat there and let all this kind of happen.
Well, yeah, because if he didn't, then she wouldn't have sex with him. And we all know that's why he's with her.
But like also his vibe is literally like,
yeah,
I don't really I'll do it,
care.
Whatever.
I don't care.
And the final
but the
quote
sex helps.
The final quote from this interview is that Pablo said, one of the sources that I talked to while I was digging into this said, quote, "She is the worst person I have dealt with on this earth," end quote.
What?
Yeah.
That's intense. Like there are actual sociopaths in the world.
I think he did actually allude to that and say, and I have worked with sociopaths.
Oh
so I'm pretty sure that was the exact end quote. I just left that last part off. So This is unbelievable. This is just a story that, and now UNC, Pablo Torre, they're kind of going back and forth on some of these claims, but oh my goodness, it just keeps giving.
In some ways, like I respect her game. I respect her hustle.
Yeah.
And in some ways I'm like, girl, like, we don't need to go into a space that we are unsure of how things work and start yelling at people who have been in the business 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, don't be rude as hell.
Yeah, especially like the Sunday morning. How dare you? That
Have some
is
respect for what we all know and love, a national treasure.
Yeah, like
Okay?
I even let people play that at my house in the morning.
She don't let anybody do anything on the TV in the morning.
I hate TV on, but like I will, because I go, it's lovely. They're always chill. The vibes, like whatever. So I
just about like monarch butterfly migration.
Absolutely. And so I go, Jordan Hudson, why don't you stick to this real estate thing?
Mm-hmm.
Let's walk away from Bill and his career.
Yep.
But also, like, Bill, wake up. Or he doesn't care, does he? He just doesn't care.
He just wants to coach football and probably have sex with this girl.
Yeah.
That's all he cares about.
It's got to be all he cares about. And you know how bad it is that, can you explain to everybody, Mike, that's listening to, Bill Belichick is, yes, the coach at University of North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
But what does his son have to do with University of North Carolina?
I think he's the defensive coordinator. So his son is a coach directly underneath him. And again, I'm not saying that's definitely the quote, but when Pablo is talking to sources inside the program that are pretty high up, and then he also makes that reference that the family is concerned, I got to imagine his son is not so secretly one of those sources. This is wild. And the other thing they just talk about is the fact that in the NFL, they don't put up with this. So there's a long belief that Bill Belichick went and took this job and he still wants to have that another opportunity in the NFL. He will never coach in the NFL if there's a circus like this around. They won't touch him.
No.
It's the same thing we saw with Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a world where he wouldn't have done any of this had she not gotten involved? He's such like the Dunkin' Donuts commercial. Is there a world he would have said no? And she was like, but I really want to do it. And so he said, fine, I'll do it if she does it.
For sure.
Probably. Oh, it's so wild. And we read that story, I think about a week and a half. Gosh, like all this has not been going on that long, but it's become a very public thing, but it feels like forever because there's so much to it.
Yeah.
There was a post about all of this from Bill Belichick's former players. People were commenting like, oh, you know what? You're right. Like, let him do his thing. He's a grown man. Let her do her thing. Publicists interrupt interviews all the time and because of the CBS News interview. And Bill Belichick's daughter-in-law commented to that and had said something along the lines of, yeah, pretty sure they don't. Like, it's not professional. Like, she was shading her father-in-law's girlfriend. So it's pretty clear that several of the family members, are not into this.
Yeah.
Can you imagine though? You've got your legendary coach father, who in a weird way, you've been kind of probably hiding this side of his character from people for a really long time.
Yeah.
And then it's just so public. And this girl makes a mockery of it.
Yeah.
Like you'd be
watching
livid.
you'd be watching his legacy be replaced by whatever this is. It'd be mortifying, but I mean, he's choosing it every time, right? So like,
he's not like, there's never been a story of, does Bill Belichick like have dementia? Is she taking advantage of him because he is mentally not fit? No, there's nothing out there like that.
And that is a great question.
And I will just say, I do kind of believe there isn't a world. I know it's hard for us to believe. There's a world he is so isolated from this, he doesn't realize how big of a firestorm this has caused.
Yeah. You know, Bill Belichick got a flip phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like he doesn't even know what his email address is.
He gets reported to when it comes to stuff like this. So if she's running everything, he has no idea what's happening right now.
Yeah.
At this level.
You're right. I think he would, like, Bill Belichick definitely doesn't care what people think of him. Like, that is full stop. We know that. Mm-hmm. But he does care about his legacy.
For sure.
Does he, though?
I think he does. I mean, the fact that he wrote this book and he made such a huge stink about how he was so upset that the interview afterwards was people were only talking about his girlfriend because it mattered to him so much what he had done professionally in his career.
We don't even know if that's his statement.
True. But like, I do think that this man cares about his legacy.
Like his dynasty in football.
Yes. And to know and to hear that that is getting tainted because of his relationship with someone that he's only been with for like 2 years.
But then you do have to say, like, it's kind of like when Tom Brady was like, I shouldn't have done the roast because I didn't think about what did you think was going to happen when you started dating a then 20-year-old woman? Yeah. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
I think they've said she was 22 when they started dating. He met her though when she was 20.
Uh-huh.
I think it was one thing for him to go, I don't care what people think of me. I'm going to date a younger woman and live my life YOLO. It's a different thing to go, I'm dating someone age, because regardless of her age, if she was doing this and she was 65, we'd be saying the same thing.
100%.
We'd be going, who is this person trying to take over this man's like finances and really dunk on his career?
It's just like, it's got an ick factor because of the age that feels so like
she's taking advantage of him.
Not only that, just like, it's gross that you're dating somebody so young. It just is. And it just is, especially like you're not giving young, active, fun guy. You just aren't. And like, I don't know. Like, there's so many things there where I go, if he didn't think that this would be the main topic when he started dating a somewhere between 20 and 22-year-old female.
For real.
Then I go, the guy who's one of the best football minds ever can't see that play coming.
Some drama happening with MGK and Megan Fox. Guys, this story is so great. It's not a love triangle. It's a quadruple. I don't know. There's 4 people. It's quadruple.
Quadrant?
Quadrant of people?
Quadrilateral?
Like it.
I don't know.
Vanessa Marcel.
We could just say square, guys.
There's a square. Love square.
Love square, baby.
Brian Austin Green, who was married to Megan Fox for a time. They have 3 kids together.
Yep.
And they are still very close. They're still friends. They're still ride or die.
Yeah,
right?
and co-parenting like a dream.
So Brian Austin Green, before he met Megan Fox, was married to this woman, Vanessa Marcel. They dated and you forgot about it. They got married, they divorced, whatever. Well, just recently he was in an interview where he compared his relationship with Vanessa Marcel like it was the worst. It was so bad for him on an emotional depth level. He couldn't even like recognize who he was. And he met Megan Fox and she was, quote, a breath of fresh air, like coming out of Vietnam. It's pretty rough, though. You're describing your ex as Vietnam.
Oh, nobody wants to be that.
So Vanessa Marcel goes on her Instagram. She shares a picture of Machine Gun Kelly, who, of course, is Megan Fox's other baby daddy. All it is him in a t-shirt. Someone else had posted it. She shares it. And the caption under it is, never bite the hand that'll slap the beep out of you. No mention of why she would share it, but why do you think? This is her way of clapping back at Brian Austin Green by being a big fan of MGK. And then she shared some screenshots of this year's Father's Day where she texts Brian Austin Green and said, are you going to see your son this Father's Day? And he said, I'm sorry, we're going to be in Disneyland. So there's a lot to this square, but we need to get to the bottom.